It's Wednesday, April 1st, 2015. Oh, okay. Wait, let me start over again. I wasn't sure if we were live or not. It's Wednesday, April 1st, 2015, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Oh, wait a minute. April Fools. Ha, ha, ha. It's the Alien Invasion number one.
Psych.
A production of GalacticNetcasts.com. Did we have you going? Did we trick you?
You tricked me.
Well, you're easily trickable, Brad.
I am. I'm gullible.
That's Brad. I'm Dave. Anessa's here. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's
good to be back.
Yes, Brad, you were gone last week. You had some kind of weird, like, South African ailment from the Congo, right? Is that what it was?
Yes. Actually, no. I was recovering from bronchitis that I got from the flu. So.
And it sounds like you still have a little something.
Yeah, my voice is still kind of goofed up from all the coughing that I was doing. So, it's getting better, but it's a long road. Long road.
At least you're here.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back, Brad. Welcome back, Anessa, and everybody else to the show, where we talk about aliens and their appearances in film, TV, video games, comic books, science, real life. I could go on, and when we say aliens, we're talking extraterrestrials, the kind from other places in the galaxy. The show is divided into three sections: the news, the craft corner, that's the spotlight of a certain kind of alien spacecraft, and our picks for the week. If you want to watch us do the show live, the best thing to do is follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and we'll notify you as to when we're going live. You can also always go to either youtube.com/galacticnetcasts, and our little live thingy will pop up on the channel, or go to galacticnetcasts.com/live, or you know what? Hey, just watch us later on the YouTube channel. The last time I checked, the soundboard website was not working, so
What?
be without an intro here. Stand by. I think something's happening here. I believe it's working this time. Remind me to edit this part out.
Okay, edit this part out.
Okay, it's still loading.
Wait, I've got it.
Got what? You have the soundboard.
I do.
Do you want to play it? The news section, the news intro.
Oh, crap. I forgot. I don't have that cord plugged in, so you're not going to hear it.
Okay. How about I just play it? Here we go.
In the news.
It is time to run down the alien-related news of the week, and Brad, you've got the first story.
I do. We've spoken of the Anunnaki before in a number of episodes in the past, but here's a little tale about how the Anunnaki took control of humanity.
Oh,
Now,
like the engineers on what's the Ridley Scott
Prometheus.
Prometheus, sort of.
not unlike that, actually.
Oh, I'm excited.
Now, this article from beforeitsnews.com, which I highly recommend you checking out because there's a lot of interesting things that you'll find on there. It posits the question, is everything we were told about ourselves and our evolution a pack of lies? In5D.com has published an article that will blow your hair back. According to Robert Morningsky, us humans have been genetically modified to become subservient slaves to our alien masters. The Anunnakis, Enlil, appointed themselves as god of this planet, despite his brother as in Earth, and sister being responsible for the genetic creation of mankind. Enlil is the same god that is the Old Testament God of the Bible.
Whoa.
If you appease Enlil or follow God's commands, you will be rewarded with your place in heaven. The problem is your vision of heaven is the same soul regeneration cycle as spoken above, which I edited the article and it's no longer spoken above. So the regeneration cycle of which they're speaking of, that I have so wonderfully improperly edited out of this article, is when you die and you see the light and you go to the light, your soul actually goes into a regeneration chamber in which your memories of your life are wiped and you are reincarnated. And in this cycle, you are continued to be in servitude to the Anunnaki.
Okay, say that again. Repeat that, please.
So this soul regeneration cycle that we're speaking of, okay, you die, you go to the light, your soul goes into this regeneration chamber, and you are wiped of your memories of your life, and you are reborn.
Mm-hmm.
And you are reborn into servitude to the Anunnaki.
And is that just another life in another body in the world, or is that somewhere else? Okay.
Yes, you continue to be reborn on Earth as a slave to our alien overlords.
So we're slaves to aliens right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, that said, the Anunnaki of which we're speaking of. Now, okay, let me back this up just a little bit. According to Robert Morningsky, just about everything you've been taught is a lie, including your true galactic lineage, religion, and following the light upon death. Robert's Hopi and Apache lineages tie together the missing pieces of what our indoctrination facilitates, schools and churches, do not tell us and do not want us to know. And that is the regeneration cycle of which I spoke. Okay. You just eternal servitude, and your job is to die and be reborn over and over and over and over. Now, the Anunnaki are the bad guys, okay? But there have been aliens who are benevolent who have been trying to help us break the cycle. And that would be the Palladians. Now, we've spoken of them before. The reptilians, we've spoken of them before. The Syrians, we've spoken about them before. And they have tried to intervene and try to help us at points in time to try to break this chain.
Are any of those the Greys?
No.
Okay. They're something reticuli, right? They're Zeta Reticuli.
Yeah, that sounds right. Now, this whole tale of what the Anunnaki are doing, what the reptilians, Assyrians, and the Palladians are doing, are all part of an untold story from a New Mexico UFO crash around the Four Corners area of the United States from 1947. Okay, now here's the thing. Apparently 6 Apache Indians on a vision quest, including Morning Sky's grandfather, rescued the lone surviving Palladian called Star Elder. And this particular Palladian used crystals to project images to communicate the history of our solar system and mankind itself. According to Morning Sky, the light at the end of the tunnel leads to the Soul Regeneration Center, which I talked about before, and you are trapped in the regeneration cycle on this planet in order to continue serving the Anunnaki, who are in charge of Mother Earth. And this was put into place by the reptilians, who were given free reign of the planet in order to get people to go into the tunnel of light. Okay, so the reptilians are also the bad guys.
This is very complicated, Brad.
Undo what the reptilians is. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. There's a confederation. The reptilians, the Syrians, and the Anunnaki are all working together, and the Palladians are the only ones that are trying to help us.
Okay.
Whew.
Thank God we cleared that up.
So convoluted. Anyways, so there it is. Don't go to the Light Caravan. Stay away from the Light Caravan, or you'll be trapped forever.
But what's the end game? I mean, how are we? What are they getting out of our being here and our living our lives over and over again?
Eternal slave labor.
But
No, the whole thing is you're reincarnated. So you die and you come back again. You're recycling that soul. That soul energy is being recycled into another physical being.
It's got to cost them money, though, to keep on making new bodies.
Well, we make the bodies ourselves. It's the whole birth and death cycle. Basically, we are a part of a system to recycle the soul energy to keep animating and giving beings souls so that they can continue to live and do the things that the aliens need us to do.
That's very interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
I'm rethinking my life. I really am.
Yeah. It's very trippy.
But really, when you think about it, if this is actually true, it kind of makes you less afraid of death, right? Because you know that you're not dying, really. I mean, you are dying, but you're just getting regenerated. You're a time lord, basically.
Well, I mean, your consciousness does end.
Wouldn't you just be Buddhist at that point?
Kinda.
What do the Buddhists believe? I'm not following.
Reincarnation?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. Buddhists and
Hindu.
Just basically reliving until you get it right.
Hasn't the Catholic Church also mentioned that there's the possibility for reincarnation as well?
I don't know.
That's a good question. That's not ringing any bells, but that doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
You know, it's funny. I think we talked about the Anunnaki on the very first episode of the Alien Invasion.
We did.
We did. Wow. Throwback.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Tremendous 4-year callback.
There's a big article about can Catholics believe in reincarnation? Someone wrote to someone named Dear Father Kerper.
Is this Father Kerper's corner is this his blog or something like that?
It's on the CatholicCNH.org.
Okay.
It looks like it's part of a magazine. It looks like it's parablemag.com is what his article shows up on. And I'll try to skim real quick and see if I can find an answer about Catholicism and reincarnation, because while I was baptized in Catholic guilt, that's about as far as I got.
Yeah.
By like age 5 or 6, I was going to a Baptist church, so.
Brad, does that article mention anything about like Christianity and the Anunnaki's involvement in maybe Jesus and all that like New Testament stuff? Since Easter's coming up this weekend, by the time this comes out, maybe Easter will be.
No, the way this is written, the Anunnaki, Enlil, yeah, Enlil appointed himself as a god, as like the Old Testament style. So it doesn't. Who knows? I mean, Jesus could have been like maybe a Nordic or some other alien race, and trying to break that cycle.
That's a cool theory. That'd be a great story.
And was killed for his trouble. Who knows?
All right. Interesting thought. Food for thought, though. It's. I'd love to read more about this in the future.
Yeah, there's if you follow the rabbit hole, check out the show notes for this before it's news. There's also a link to the in5d.com article, and then it follows up with other Anunnaki stories that are related to this on the site. So I mean, you could go on for a few stories to get the full picture of what this story is really encompassing or trying to encompass.
I have to caution you guys, though, the people listening to this podcast, don't completely rely on before it's news. Check out other sources, because they put almost anything up on that website. They don't do a whole lot of background checking, I don't think. Okay, let's move on to. I got a couple of stories, and I'll run through them real quick here. How to get the secret alien stuff in the new Sims 4 expansion pack. Weren't you guys playing Sims 4? Anessa?
No. Playing Minecraft.
Okay,
I haven't really played Sims on PC or a console since like Nintendo, Super Nintendo Sims.
I think this is.
So
I
that's
think
like 15, 20 years ago. And even then, I played Sim City. So I was just building cities and trying to not get destroyed by earthquakes and tornadoes.
yeah. I that's the Sim thing that I played Sim City and Sim Earth. I never tried the Sims. Never tried the
I
Sims.
think I did briefly on Facebook for a couple months, and then I got bored.
I think I had the first Sims or the second Sims on my computer. I think it was the first Sims and had a couple of the expansion packs, but then I stopped because I needed my life back.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe try it again because this sounds very interesting. There are aliens in this expansion pack for Sims 4, and here are the steps to get the aliens, all right? So
What?
so people that are actually playing Sims 4, follow along, or if this interests you, make notes as well. So when you get it, you can get the expansion pack and check it out. So uh, step by step, reach level 9 in the science career path. And just a background on this, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just following the instructions that this web article gave me. So just bear that in mind. Invent the electroflux wormhole generator device. That's step 2. Step 3. Install the wormhole generator on a spaceship. Either one that you own and have installed at your scientist's sim personal home, or one located at the snazzy new research facility the expansion pack adds to the game. Next step. Select Travel through Wormhole from the available options when clicking on the Upgrades spaceship. Next step. After a hopefully brief loading screen, you'll touch down on the alien planet. Once you're there, you can start doing normal sim stuff, albeit in an alien environment like greeting with the aliens. Since this is The Sims, conversation invariably leads to chatting the aliens up. Yes, that means you can invite them back to Earth and indulge in a little cross-species woohoo,
Woohoo!
which leads to alien babies, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sexy time with the Sims and the aliens.
Are there alien midwives?
No.
No.
Aw.
So
That could totally be a show. Call the Alien Midwife.
It could.
let's do it.
Get
'Cause
Netflix on the phone.
we got plenty of time. I know that
Or
none of-
BBC.
all of us have nothing going on.
You
So
got
if you
this.
want to hold off on interplanetary travel, but why would you? Why would you want to hold off on that? And try your hand at alien sim building without going through the above steps, you can do that too. The popular Sims blog, Sims VIP, has a detailed tutorial for creating your own extraterrestrial Sims from the outset, i.e., without even locating all the new secrets first. All you have to do is select the Add Alien option in the game's Create a Sim, that's CAS menu. When you first start building a new sim, then you're off to the races. But it sounds like going through those steps is the fun part. Because, I mean, for God's sakes, you're inventing the electroflux wormhole generator. Come on!
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Sims 4, expansion pack. If you're playing, go do that. If you're not playing, but it interests you, then try it as well. Okay.
Sweet.
Story number.
Oh, I was going to interrupt and go back to the Catholic thing. From what I can tell, they're not really into the reincarnation thing.
Okay.
After that long read and things about Bibles and whatnot, yeah, it ends with, because we have a unique and unrepeatable soul, we also have just one picture, the body we have now and in eternity. So to me, that sounds like they're not really into the reincarnation thing.
Okay.
That the guy says that it devalues the human body and distorts the biblical understanding of the human person.
Okay.
So just thought I'd throw that out there while it was on my mind and on the screen. So
Okay.
story number 2.
Hang on one second. I want to play something before we move on to story number 2. Of course, it takes forever to load anything else on my computer while the Hangout's going on, so Bear with me here.
Okay.
So pretend like you just got done explaining the whole Catholicism and reincarnation. Actually, Anessa, what I want you to do is maybe say the last thing that you said. Okay?
That would be kind of difficult because I've already closed out of the screen.
Okay, so make it up. Just pretend. Can you think of what you might have said?
No.
Okay.
If it's something that I don't have to remember, my mind just immediately shows it out
Okay.
of the.
The more you know.
Hang on. I'm gonna respond to it. Oh my goodness, that was very interesting, Anessa. I need to add that to the soundboard.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yes. All right, now we're ready for story number 2. Fox wants to remake Alienation, this time with Marvel writers. Art Markham and Matt Holloway, best known for their work on the first Iron Man movie, are writing the script for the project, which at this stage has no producer on board. The original was set in a near future where humans and a race of aliens are forced to coexist tenuously as humans keep the newcomers mostly segregated and without rights, a la or aka 1960s pre-civil rights movement, kind of like that, or South Africa apartheid.
Yep.
The story then told of the first alien police officer who is paired with a racially insensitive partner. Soon, however, a case comes along that brings the two together in a friendship and respect. Plot details are being kept on the QT, but the studio is envisioning a reimagining akin to the studio's own commercial and critical hit franchise, Planet of the Apes. One tidbit is known. The first installment will begin by telling how and why the aliens came to Earth, which is very interesting because that's something they did not cover in the original, I don't think. Or did they?
No, throughout the series, they did cover it.
Okay. That's right, because the movie led to the TV series.
Yes.
When I first saw this, I thought they were talking about a new TV series, but it's a movie. And I was kind of excited about the TV series more than the movie, actually.
I really enjoyed the heck out of the TV series. That was a Fox staple in the 90s. You know, I would watch Simpsons, Cops, Alien Nation, War of the Worlds, X-Files.
Yeah. Yep. They did a lot of science fiction early on.
Yeah, they did.
They weren't afraid to try new things or try different things, that's for sure. Are you guys excited about this movie remake?
I'm unfamiliar with Alienation, so no.
I believe what the first movie was James Caan and Mandy Patinkin, wasn't it?
That is correct.
And James Caan playing a racially insensitive cop was so believable. But that story is just it's a great story. It's a unexpected buddy cop film where the two people absolutely despise each other and then grow to respect each other as this case develops. And it was just a wonderful kind of a wonderful change of heart sort of story where you learn something more, and it was obviously a kind of an allegory to racial tension and whatnot. And I think with the way things are in the news right now is the time to do this.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think back then it was more like supposed to be a reflection of what was happening in South Africa, but I think today with there's a lot of different groups that are basically not ostracized. What's the word I'm looking for? Discriminated against?
Correct.
In this modern age that we live in, like people from the Middle East or people of a different sexual whatever
Orientation.
Orientation is the word you're looking for.
You. Thank you.
But with the events in Ferguson and
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right, Brad. It's a perfect time to reboot this and make a new movie. All right, let's jump into the last story. Inessa, what you got?
Well, if we're looking out at the stars and hoping to find intelligent life that looks like us, then we might be thinking too small. So says Fergus Simpson of the University of Barcelona Institute of Cosmos Science, who published a paper on ARCS IV? ARCS, is that supposed to be a Roman numeral? Or is that supposed to be a word? Anyway, ARXIV, AR15? Or, sorry, 14? R14? Anyway, sorry, I'm getting caught up with this. It's all ran together, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to be 2 letters and then Roman numerals. R14, with a few interesting conclusions about the possible hugeness of alien life. So probably one of those conclusions is to not dwell so long on a word, and whether or not it's initials and Roman numerals. But anyway, Simpson stretches on the definition of intelligent life beyond technological life into our cousins in the great ape branch. While their size all varies, humans are at the smaller end of the spectrum. Throughout the animal kingdom, species which are physically larger invariably possess a lower population density, possibly due to their enhanced energy demands, Simpson writes in the paper. As a result, we should expect humans to be physically smaller than most other advanced species. In fact, based on Earth's fauna, Simpson's puts the average alien weight at about 661 pounds, which is quite a lot bigger than us. If that's true, it could change how we think about looking for alien life. Simpsons argues that the larger the biosphere, the greater the chance it can produce an intelligent species. Yet there may be a low population density of the intelligent creatures, not unlike the ape, due to the increased body mass, at least until technology reaches a point that it can artificially expand the lifespan. He points to this as a reason to look for biomarkers over radio signals when searching for life elsewhere in the cosmos. You might find intelligent life that isn't quite advanced enough yet to send those radio signals. It may turn out that humans are the outliers and polar bear-sized creatures are the norm. As we have repeatedly learned from the discoveries of distant planets and the exploration of life on our own, nature is invariably more diverse than we anticipate, not less, he writes. And this was actually found on popularmechanics.com.
I found out a bit of information. It is actually pronounced archive. The
really?
X is treated as if it were the Greek letter chi.
Oh.
And it is a organization that is dedicated to e-prints of scientific papers in math and the sciences.
So they're trying to be all fancy schmancy there.
I'm like,
they've actually been around since 1991, and they actually predate the use of HTML for their sharing of information.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of graphs in that paper.
Yes, there is. A lot
and
of
a lot
math.
of sources, which seems legit, yo.
Seems
so
very...
what the study is saying is it's telling us to make our houses bigger, especially our doors, in preparation for our gigantic alien visitors someday.
Well, it depends. If those visitors happen to be hostile, then you want to make smaller places so they can't get in.
Very good point.
So, at least have like, I guess it would be one of those, I can't think of what they're called. The rooms where you lock yourselves in, safety room, lock room.
That would be the panic room.
The panic room, there we go. I was like, I can't think of the word. But yeah, like, make a panic room with a small opening, small doors. So the rest of the house you can be welcoming if they're nice, but if you end up across an alien that's kind of crazy compared to the other ones and he's kind of hostile, then at least you have a panic room that he cannot fit into.
Good idea, Vanessa. And I was just thinking about the big and tall stores. That's going to be booming business for them.
Yeah, it's pretty great if you go look at the article. It's got a bear in a spacesuit.
I was hoping for a second you were going to say panda.
No. Well, they say that the aliens would be about the size of polar bears, and it doesn't really look like a polar bear to me, probably more of a grizzly, but he's hanging out in an astronaut suit, so it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Before we move on to the Craft Corner section, we would like to invite you to leave us feedback by calling our voicemail number, 805-328-3966, 805-328-3966. And we actually have a brand new way of leaving voicemails or a voice message. Just go to our website, galacticnetcasts.com, galacticnetcasts.com, and there's a little thing on the very right-hand corner or side of the screen. You click on that, and you actually can record a message right there through your computer or through your mobile device. It's mobile friendly. It's not your mobile enemy. It's mobile friendly. galacticnetcasts.com. Click on that little thing on the right-hand side of the screen and leave your message, or send us an email, galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. That's galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts on any and all of the stories that we talk about here on the Alien Invasion podcast. So let's continue with the Craft Corner.
Please identify the craft you witness.
A black, triangular, three-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering in it.
Shaped like almost like between an egg and like a teardrop.
Two long cylinder objects flying over me.
It had a dome. I could see the occupants in it.
Appeared to be rotating, and it was on circular and disc shape, and it hovered for maybe about 5 minutes.
She's saying slender or cylindrical?
That's slender.
Slender? Okay.
Maybe?
No, I think she's saying cylinder.
Oh, we have a debate going on here.
I'll have to hear it again.
I'm not going to play. We'll figure it out next week.
Oh, because it comes out at the very beginning, right?
Oh, I think maybe it
Doesn't
does.
it? So if you just play like the very first part.
Okay, here.
Please identify the craft you witness.
A black, triangular, three-dimensional shape, huge, just flying, hovering in it.
Shaped like almost like between
Oh, maybe not.
a teardrop.
Two long cylinder objects.
Two long cylinder objects.
Maybe cylinder.
Okay.
I don't know. I can see how it could be either.
I think she's attempting to say cylindrical, and she's just stopping at cylinder.
Okay.
She got
We have a
tired.
debate going on here. So listeners, let us know. Give us feedback, galacticnetcast@gmail.com, or call our voicemail number, or leave that voice message on the website and tell us, is it slender, or what's the word, Brad?
Cylinder.
Cylinder
Cylinder.
or cylindrical.
Cylindrical. Okay.
I know she's not saying cylindrical.
No, she's not. I think she's attempting it and went, eh.
Or maybe it
Just
was
got
one of
tired.
those moments where she was thinking slender and cylinder, and it just kind of came out as a mash.
Sorry.
It's okay. When you mute, you muted me.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Because you can hear my cough through your microphone, too. Sorry.
All
It
right.
was instinctual. Hi!
Ah.
Say, the Craft Corner is
It's
going to be a fictional ship this time out.
okay. So just to back up a little bit for the newbies listening, the Craft Corner is our spotlight of a certain kind of alien spacecraft, and this time it's a fictional spacecraft.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
And we are going to talk about the Red Dwarf from the BBC series Red Dwarf.
Nice.
And the spaceship, the Red Dwarf, is an enormous mining vessel owned by the Jupiter Mining Corporation. It's 6 miles long, 4 miles tall, 3 miles wide. The jagged shape and the dull red color of the vessel has led to the vessel being described as a gigantic red trash can. And all of the computer systems, all of the systems on the Red Dwarf are controlled by the computer Holly. The scoop on the front end of the ship sucks in hydrogen from the currents in space and converts it into fuel like a Bussard ramjet, and can theoretically keep going forever. Now, in the show, 3 million years pass from within the first episode. Now, in the Red Dwarf, you have your slacker main character who is a technician 20th class, and he's supposed to be doing some maintenance stuff, and he forgets to do something, and it leads to the death of everybody on the ship except for him. And he's only spared because he is thrown in the brig because he snuck a cat on board the ship, which is illegal. And so he is resuscitated after all of this radiation is dissipated, and 3 million years have passed, and now he's on the ship by himself for the most part, with the exception of a cat, a humanoid cat character who is a direct descendant of the cat that he smuggled on the ship, and a hologram version of a person that he couldn't stand in life to keep him company.
Doesn't the hologram turn into, or don't they make the hologram a robot or an android later on?
There is a robot named Crichton who shows up a little later on in the series.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yes. So anyways, the ship changes its size and not its overall shape, but throughout the series, just through continuity errors and things like that. There have been 10 series of Red Dwarf, and the ship has actually, at one point in time, the original ship model that they were going to use was broken. It fell from a shelf and broke, and they had to kind of do a repair, and it sort of shortened up the ship back to its original shape, so its original length. So in the course of the show, it's said that there have been either 169 people on board the ship or 11,169, depending on which series, who was writing it, and what continuity error was in the program for that particular week.
That's a wide margin. That's a big
That's
difference.
a huge margin. At one point in time, there is a secret floor 13 on the ship, which had 400 prisoners. So, I mean, that added quite handily to the number of beings on the ship. The ship was destroyed. The ship was reconstituted through a series of strange events, which are par for the course for the Red Dwarf series. There are a fleet of starbugs, which are smaller ships that are used for planetary landings and surveying and things like that, and other ships called the Blue Midgets. And like I said, there have been up to 10 series, and so your guess is as good as mine as to which. And I saw the Red Dwarf Back to Earth, which was Series 9. I did not see 10. I was told that 10 was not all that good.
There was wasn't there a pretty big gap between Series 9 and 10?
There was a huge gap, and at one point in time they were going to do an American version of Red Dwarf, and thank God that never came to pass.
Yeah.
There are certain things that should not be Americanized, and I think Red Dwarf, intrinsically by its very nature of its creation, cannot and should not ever be an American show.
You know what I've noticed is the British dramas that are kind of translated into American shows they succeed better than the British comedies that try to be translated into an American version. Sometimes,
because I did watch Life on Mars, which that failed miserably, the American version.
There was Broadchurch, and what was the American version called?
Grace Point.
Grace Point, yeah.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I've only seen the one or two episodes of Grace Point, and it wasn't bad, but I mean, if you've seen one, then you've seen the other for the most part.
Yeah. They did a pilot episode of the IT Crowd, which
That was horrible.
was an abomination
Horrible.
in the eyes of God and should never be spoken of again and should be erased from existence.
I mean, and it's a shame because it had Joel McHale.
Joel McHale's hilarious, and it had Moss, the actor, the only original actor from the British show, came to do the American version, and they did not gel as a team.
Yeah,
at
it
all.
didn't have the same chemistry, and yeah, it just didn't work.
It was bad. So, anyways, Red Dwarf, great show, interesting ship. That's our pick. Watch the British version.
That's the only version you can watch.
Yes.
Brad.
In case someone tries to make it
Yeah,
Americanized
if somebody
version,
no,
don't watch it.
that's like a future warning. That's the warning to the future, to the people that listen to this podcast years from now. And if somebody tries to make an Americanized version of Red Dwarf, for the love of God, don't look.
Or a possibility of somebody listening to this podcast from an alternate dimension that has an American version of the show.
What?
Yeah, but maybe their American version is better. Who knows? It's an
Maybe
alternate.
that was the original version, was the American version, and the British are trying to steal all of our shows in that alternate dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Damn Brits. All right, let's move on to picks. These are stuff that we've watched, listened to, read, played in relation to aliens. And I watched a pretty good movie last week called Beyond. Found it on Netflix. It's a British movie from 2014, and it was one of those stories that flashed back and forth between before and after. And the entire movie is before and after. And I like how if you're watching a movie or a TV show and they're showing stuff in the future, you have to try to figure out why the hell something's a certain way until it catches up to the flashback to the past, right? So that was very much like what this movie was all about. It follows the turbulent relationship of Cole and Maya, as they struggle to survive in a world where the human population has been decimated by an extraterrestrial attack. And I don't really have a lot to say about it. I don't want to give a lot away. I'm just going to say that it's not a whole lot of action. It's more kind of like the enemy is there and it's foreboding the entire time without really without showing the aliens too much. It's kind of like the original Alien. You didn't really see the actual monster too much, just the presence, you knowing it's there made it scary enough, and that's kind of the way this movie was. And it's really only that way. Well, the aliens aren't really a threat in the flashback, but in the present day or in the flash forward, they are a threat. And during the first part of the movie, the human population, the population on Earth, thinks that it's a comet or it's an asteroid heading towards the Earth. And that's pretty much the story. Like, people are freaking out because they think that the world's going to end. Because they're saying that there's like a 95% chance that this asteroid is going to be hitting the Earth and just decimating the population. Turns out, aliens. So it's a tale of two. It's a movie of two tales, kind of. But it really centered around this relationship between Cole and Maya. How do you pronounce that, Anessa? Is it Maya?
Maya.
Maya?
Like the Mayan calendar?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
The Mayas?
You're right, I'm stupid. Okay.
So I'm like, Maya, that should be Maya, unless, I don't know, some people say their name's weird.
And you'd think I would have remembered because I watched the movie and they said her name, but I don't remember. It was last week, and a lot's happened between now and then. So, yeah, it was a great movie. If you, it's kind of real, like, subdued. It's not, like I said, it's not a lot of action. It's more of a drama, and how are they going to survive, and the relationship between them. They end up having a child at one point, but you never really see the child because the child is taken away by, I believe, either her parents or his parents. I don't remember. And there's like supposedly a safe zone in Norway where all the survivors are going to after the alien attack, but you never actually see the safe zone. It's just kind of a myth. And he's trying to communicate with the safe zone with a radio during the flash forward. So check it out. It's on Netflix. I believe it's on American Netflix. Canadian Netflix kind of sucks. We get some of the stuff American Netflix does. So you're probably have a pretty good chance that it is on the American Netflix. It's called Beyond, and that is my pick this week. All right,
Cool.
Anessa, you're up.
I came across an episode of Tales of Tomorrow, The Crystal Egg.
What is Tales of Tomorrow?
I've done it as a pick once before. The other pick that I did, I can't remember the name of it, but it had Leslie Nielsen in it. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone, except not as high production quality.
Oh, it's an anthology series.
Yes.
Okay.
From like the 1950s.
Got it.
Or early 60s. Anyway, so in this episode, there's like a handful of these on Netflix, or not Netflix, Amazon. And I wish they had more, but they have maybe 4 or 5 that I could find. And I think a couple of them deal with time travel. So I'll be watching those later. But anyway, the IMDb page has the synopsis that a crystal egg reveals live tableau of the planet Mars. In case you don't know what tableau means, a live scene, a live picture of what's going on Mars. A 19th century scientist is obsessed with investigating the crystal, but the antique shop owner who came across the seemingly worthless glass hopes to sell it ASAP to a tall, insistent stranger for whom no price is too dear. The delay, while the scientist experiments on the egg, makes the buyer even more desperate. Wahaha. So yeah, it's essentially about this crystal egg that's hanging out in an antique shop, and this guy comes by and he's like, I want to buy this egg. And the shopkeeper, not really knowing how much it's worth, was like, £5. And his wife was like, that's crazy. Why would you want to sell it for that much? It's just a crystal. And the guy was like, I don't have £5. Here's £2. And the guy's like, £5. And so the insistent guy was like, I'll be back later with the money. So they asked him for his name, and he's like, you'll remember me. And off he goes. And because the guy was willing to spend £5, the shopkeeper decided to take the egg to a professor who had made purchases from the shop previously. And the professor starts to look at this egg, and he just gets like really obsessed with it. He locks himself in his office and just starts trying to study it. And even putting off like a date with his secret girlfriend. It was kind of weird because there's this lady that's hanging out in the office, and then the shopkeeper comes, and the guy's like, oh, the professor goes, oh, I need for you to go out the back because the shopkeeper likes to talk, and I don't really want him talking. So I don't know what was up with that weird relationship with the professor and this chick, but he didn't want it known. So anyway, yeah, the shopkeeper drops off the egg. The professor puts it in the back room, turns off the light, and as he was leaving, it starts to glow, and you see this image that's kind of fuzzy, and the professor can't quite make out what's going on in the image, but eventually the image starts to come in clear, and he sees these geologic formations that are not of this earth, and then you see Saturn in the background, and he's like, oh, this is totally Mars, because, whatever. So he figures out that this is Mars, and then it's kind of goes on from there, and the story is told by him as he's recording a record because he's afraid that he might not survive to tell the tale. of this crystal egg. And yes, there are aliens, but I'm not going to tell you in what form they appear because that would kind of ruin the whole thing.
So you're going to leave us in suspense?
Yes, and I recommend you give it a watch. It's only 22 minutes long, so if you hate it, it's only 22 minutes long.
All right, that's not much time to waste if you feel it was a waste.
Exactly. By the time you start to hate it, it's over. You're cool.
All right.
Eat it or watch it while you're eating dinner.
Eat it. Eat it.
Eat it. Eat it.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Anessa. Great pick. Let's round out, wrap up the picks section with Brad.
I dipped into the classic archives of television.
What is this television that you speak of?
It's a funny box where there used to be shows that would play, and you would watch them on your funny box.
Sounds like a weird concept.
It is, actually. This show is iconic for its sci-fi content. It is called The Twilight Zone. Now, the episode that I checked out is called People Are Alike All Over. And the premise of the story is that two people, one is played by Roddy McDowall, a very young Roddy McDowall. Holy cow. This episode, I think, was like 1959, 1960. So we're talking some of the golden age of television here. And young Roddy McDowall is playing a biologist who is one of two crewmen who are going to Mars on a mission. And their mission is to go to Mars and to check things out and see what's going on there. And Roddy McDowall is the younger of the two crewmen, and while he's excited by the concept of discovery, he's also nervous. And he's nervous that they might find beings on Mars and what that would be like. And the person that he's with, Marcus, he says that basically people are the same all over. You know, if they're, God created people and it doesn't matter what planet they're on, they're pretty much the same. If they have souls, they're going to be the same type of people. The trip goes to Mars, and there is an accident. The ship crashes. And it turns out that there are Martians on Mars, and that they look very much like you or I. But true to form to Twilight Zone, there is a twist to everything, and you do find out that people are pretty much the same everywhere, but not exactly what you'd hoped or expected. So, I don't want to give anything away. It's it's a 22-minute episode, 24-minute episode. I mean, at that time, they had less commercial time sold, so you get a little bit more per episode, as it were. But it's a very good episode, very thought-provoking, and that was the beauty of the Twilight Zone. It told cautionary tales, moral tales, and couched it in suspense, sci-fi, and things that I think we can all relate to who are listening to this podcast. So,
I have a thought. I think that we are in the need of a series like that in this day and age. I think an anthology series. I think we're ready for an anthology series comeback. What do you guys think? Well, Black Mirror is kind of like that, right? The British series Black Mirror.
I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'm currently watching Call the Midwife, and it's totally not sci-fi in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. All right.
But it's a pretty good show.
Has nothing to do with aliens or sci-fi, but yeah, babies. All right.
We should. You know what? We should start doing a also watching, that has nothing to do with the show, I watched the Justin Bieber roast today. That's my contribution to the also watching, but has nothing to do with what we're talking about on this podcast.
There you go.
How about you?
For people who are interested, you can watch this Twilight Zone episode on Hulu, and I mean they have it starting from episode 1, season 1, and onward. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Twilight
Yeah,
Zone,
go back and watch
they're
them.
really old. They're black and white.
But they're good.
Dated sometimes, but they're all really, really good still.
Yeah.
Really, really.
A lot of it holds up because it didn't really focus so much on the time period. It focused on, and that was, Rod Serling and his team's, credit is that they focused on the tale, what the story was supposed to be about, and not the trappings of what everything was couched in. So
Yep.
those stories overall hold up. And yes, you're going to see, Studebakers, and you're going to see, things out of the 50s and the 60s, but that is not the story. You could update, you could take that script and put it in today for the most part, and they would still hold up.
All right. Thanks, guys. Today's picks: Twilight Zone, People Are Alike All Over, Tales of Tomorrow, The Crystal Egg, and Beyond. And we'll have the links in the show notes for you to check those out yourself. All right. You can search for us on iTunes and Stitcher as well. We're also on TuneIn Radio. Give us 5 stars, please. We really appreciate that. The best thing you can do, though, is just tell one person this week, at least one person, about this show and about Galactic Netcast, because we have a bunch of other podcasts as well. Tell them just to go to galacticnetcast.com if they like science fiction, science, weird stuff, aliens. Then you will like what we have going on the Galactic Netcasts network. Leave us feedback. Again, email galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. Leave a voicemail, voice message on the website, galacticnetcasts.com. And also get involved in the community by joining the Galactic Collective. We have 3 levels, all a little bit more. You dive a little bit more into the actual getting involved in the community. You can just be a lurker. You can be a person that interacts with Brad, Anessa, and I on a regular basis, or you can be a part of the Galactic Council, and you can make decisions for us. You can help us make decisions for the network, and you can be on this podcast if you want, too. So, again, go to galacticnetcast.com and become part of the Galactic Collective. Before we get out of here, final thoughts. Brad, you're first.
I really, after watching that episode of The Twilight Zone, I really want to go back and start from the beginning and just watch. Just to get that feeling again of just watching really well-written, well-told stories, and most of it's sci-fi. So
we should do a podcast rewatching The Twilight Zone. But again, we don't have a whole lot of time.
I'll quit my day job and we'll make that happen.
Hey, you know what? You can support us by going to patreon.com/galacticnetcast and support us financially so we can quit our day jobs and do this full time. That would be an awesome thing that you could do.
I was going to say you could quit, but I'll have to get a full-time job.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah, or 2. So, no, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay, Anessa, what's your final thought?
Well, apparently Anne Frank didn't die March 31st. They believe that she died in February, which means her and her sister were not days away from being rescued.
Oh, I knew she was a fake. Kidding. I'm kidding.
Not like that one lady who popped up on my news feed, an article about her, I think in Australia, who she said that she had the brain cancer and never went to the doctor and just like ate really healthy and whatnot, and it went away.
Oh, man.
So now they're saying that she probably didn't have cancer, but yeah, and she's making money off of it, and supposedly I think her app or her book or something's supposed to be featured by Apple on the Apple Watch. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, that's something you don't joke about.
Cancer
So
that's a no. No.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like maybe she confused her words and meant to say she had a cold.
I really doubt it. I doubt it.
I know, but just
All right.
people.
People don't do that, but people join us next time for another edition of the Alien Invasion. We'll talk to you then.
Okay, bye.